Good morning. I hope you are able to hear me. Can anyone please confirm? Okay, so everyone is everyone completed all the practice of Azure Data Factory? Okay, how many of you complete all the practice? You can respond in chat. Only Viren replied. How about others? Please respond everyone in chat. Okay. 3 are replied. Minimum 10 replies I'm expecting from you guys. No problem. Even if you, whatever the things that you completed, you just say that. Okay, nothing wrong in it. Four replies. Still, I need minimum 6 replies. Reply everyone, please. Okay, I'm asking like from the beginning, complete data factory we completed, right? Almost. So I'm expecting how much percentage of the data factory you completed from the beginning. That is what I'm asking. Not like yesterday practice or something like that. Overall, how much percentage you have completed? Okay. Yeah, if SQL Server is not installed in your system, you can use, you can take it from the Azure portal. Okay. So we talked about it, right? MS SQL Server from the Azure, you can take it. Azure SQL you can use for practicing. If SQL Server is not installed in your system, for some reason, if it is not installed, you can take that for practicing. Okay. So If I ask you 3 questions, are you people ready to give the answer? Okay, so you just type a message, I mean to say type a text and give it me directly in the chat. Just give me a moment. I'll write and I'll present the screen. Okay, so I'm just presenting the screen now. You can see I wanted to get the answer from everyone. Okay, so do it for one by one and give it with your own words. Okay, so whatever it is, wrong or right. So now I'm asking you to write it, but one point I'm going to take each and every individual different question. I'm going to ask different person. So that time it will be interactive. Everyone please start writing it. When I gave the answer, just feel you're talking to the interviewer. Okay, so not like just one line answers. just fail your in front of the interviewer. Then use your words. Okay, most of you tried, and one use case also I will give. Okay, so the use case is just create a one file, EMP number, or let's say EMP ID, name, salary, something like that. You just create a file 101 Bhaskar 1000 102 Sandy 2000, like this. You just create a one file. Okay, so file name you can take something like employee.csv. Okay, so once I've taken this, my output is, this is the input, and my output is employee table. Okay, it's a table. You have to create a first table, that is EMP ID, name, and salary. Okay, so what you have to do is, you have to load the data into this place, into the table 101 Bhaskar, salary is 1000, 102 Sandy, and 2000. Okay, this is the table. But you have to do some pre-validation before loading the data. I wanted to do the pre-validation. Okay, so I'll give the requirement. Just try to do from your side. You have to do it. Okay, you will get an idea. Make them into pieces and then you can get to know it. If the number of columns in the source should be same as number of columns in the target. Okay, you have to load the data from employee.csv file into employee table only if the number of columns are matched between file and table. Okay, so you have to do one test case. Okay, so this is one thing, and you have to run one more time by keeping the number of columns different. Validate. One is keep the file with same number of columns as your target, and run the pipeline. And one more test case is keep the file with a different number of columns as your target, I mean to say here, when you compare your target. So these two things we need to do it. So here it has to be succeeded, and here it should be failed, and you need to maintain the log. Okay, for this also you have to maintain the succeeded log, and for this also we need to maintain the fail log. So I explained how we can log the details. Just follow that. Okay. So there's two validations you have to test it when you create a pipeline. Okay. So if the number of columns are same, then only you have to load the data into the target. Otherwise, do not execute a pipeline. I mean to say, do not execute a copy. Did you understand the requirement? Anyone having any doubt with this exercise? If you can do this, then you can think. Okay, so take your time. Okay, I'll review this on Monday. Everyone has to show from your screen, even if it is failed or succeeded. I need attempt. Okay, if you can start attempt it, then you can get to know that. If you have any question, you can ask me. I'll help you to understand this. Okay, so let's come back to here. What are the steps are required to create a pipeline? So some people, they may ask this question, or some people, they may ask, what are the building blocks of your data factory? Okay, so building blocks of your data factory or data pipeline, anything is fine. Okay, so basically it is ADF. So when you have a first question, you need to explain in a little different way. And when you go for this one, you can give a straightforward answers also for this. Okay, so if you have any requirement, if they wanted to ask you to create a pipeline, then what are the steps that you require is, first you need to understand what are the data sources we are having, the source and target. If the source and target is the same platform, I mean to say, let's say Azure Data Lake Storages, right? So if that is the case, then we can, we need to have an integration runtime to run the pipeline, and to use what kind of integration runtime we can decide based on the data sources. So that means we require integration runtime in order to run the pipeline. So once you have an integration runtime, then we can go for having a link services. So link services are going to ask us to provide the source details and target details. Once we created a link service, then we can go for creating a data set where we can specify what data is required to bring data from the source, and what data we require to feed into the target. So once we set up all these things, then finally we can go for creating a data. We can go for creating a pipeline. So in order to move data from one place to another place, we can use the copy data activity to create as part of the pipeline, where we can specify the source data set and target data set. So once that is done, finally we can go for triggering. You can go for debug at the time of development, or we can go for triggers at the time of scheduling. Okay, so these steps we have to give it. And building blocks, if they ask, you can say straight away integration runtime is one of the building blocks where we can use it for running up the pipeline. And link service, the link service which is going to have a connection details for your source and target. And a data set, again data set, we can have what kind of data we require to bring to store. And then finally we are going to have a pipeline where we are going to use the different kind of activities. So you can say something like that. You just add some words for each and every block. Okay, so that is about the first one. The second one is, what is integration runtime? Again, it is the same. Okay, it's a compute. Integration runtime is a compute which can be used to run your pipeline. If you don't have an integration runtime, you cannot run anything. Okay, so Data Factory comes with by default integration runtime, Azure integration runtime, right? So we have three different types of integration runtime. One is self-hosted integration runtime. You can take any order. Okay, Azure integration runtime and SSIS integration runtime. You can just give brief idea about them. Azure integration runtime will be used to bring data from Azure sources to Azure sources. Or you can use self-hosted to take data from non-Azure platforms. External data sources if you have, then you can use that. And SSIS IR will be used to run your SSIS package by lifting and shifting into the data factory. We can use that. In your own words, you have to give it. It's not like just as per the note, we don't need to give it. So frame your words and give that answer. And what are the different types of connectors available in the data factory? This is one of the recent interview question. What are the different types of connectors? Okay, so we have a Azure connectors, we have a database connectors, we have a file connectors, we have a compute connectors. Okay, if you want to see that, I'll show you. If you can go to the data factory, I guess I'm having one data factory here. I'll show you. Oh my God. I thought I removed it. Okay, so Srini also faced this question. Or at least you can give the names of the connectors, what you have used, like Azure Data Lake Storage Into or a SQL Server. Okay, so at least they will be satisfied even if we say that. If we say plus new, we can say categorization of that. Azure connectors, database connectors, file connectors, generic protocol, NoSQL, services and apps. Or you can say, generally you can say we can have a Azure connectors. So definitely we are touching this, right? So database connectors, file connectors. Okay, so we may not touch others, but at least whatever you touched as part of Azure or as part of this database, you can say those connectors. There are many connectors out there. Okay, so we cannot say all connectors, but at least whatever you have used, you need to say that. Okay, for SAP we have a connectors, for DB2 we have a connectors, for Teradata we have a connectors, Netizer we have a connectors. You can say all the connectors here. Okay, Amazon. Okay, so as a Key Vault, we came across it, Cassandra, DB2, as I said, FTP, file system, and HDFS, Hive connectors, HTTP, IBM. So like this, Microsoft Access, MongoDB connectors, MySQL, ODBC, Oracle connectors, PostgreSQL, SAP connectors, as I said. So like this, we have a various connectors. Okay, you can just name the connectors or you can just give the categories of this Azure connectors, database connectors, file connectors, whatever you remember. So REST API is like to read the data from the website, we can use the REST API connector. Okay, so it's a very simple only. You have to provide HTTP path to read the data. I mean to say, if you have a data in HTTP, to read the data from there, you can use the REST API connector. Okay, and how can you pass parameter value to the log table? If we can do this use case, 100% we can give the answer for this. Or if you remember, I talked about stored procedure activity. To feed log. I already shown you. Practically I have shown you. So if you can go through that particular session, definitely you can give the answer for this. You have to pass it. You have to pass the details. How you cannot go and open the data factory and see the details why the package is succeeded or why the package is failed. So we are always going to see all those details from the log only. So log is going to have public details. So in order to have those details in the log table, you have to capture from the data factory to your stored procedure. By using stored procedure activity, we can get it. and we can pass the values from the data factory to your log tables, like what data factory it is, what activity are. We have seen, we talked about it. We just go through that session, you can give the answer for this. Okay, so definitely it is required to have it. And the same thing, if you want to do for if you're having a log table, if you're having a log table in a SQL server, then you can use the stored procedure to move it. But if you're having a log table in the Databricks, okay, if you have a log table in the Databricks, so some people, they used to follow this approach also. Okay, so in my experience, I came across both of them, a SQL server and ADB. When it is a SQL server, I feel it is very simple and easy. But when I go with this approach, then slight difficulties we can fail, because we need to know about the notebook, how we can write it. We need to capture those details from this particular place to Databricks. Then only we can feed the log. And here it is simple. We can, because SQL is much more easier than anything, I feel. Okay, so when you compare with other codings, so I feel easy for this approach, and this approach is little difficult. So as part of the project, I'm going to take you through this particular approach only, so that you can be habituated both of them. We already seen how we can feed the log into the log tables by using stored procedure. In the project, I'm going to show you how we can handle with the notebook. Okay, so definitely there is a question, how can you capture those records, those values into the Databricks? There is a widgets are there. By using the widgets, we are going to get it. Or they may ask, what is the purpose of this widgets? Widgets are used to bring, or widgets are used to collect the parameter values from the data factory, you can say. Okay, so for that reason, we are using, you can say that. Or if they ask, how can you pass the values from the data factory to notebook? If they ask, then by using the widgets, we are going to provide it. So when you see practically, you can see how exactly it is going to work. Okay, so this is one of the approach, and this is one of the approach. When you do practically, then only can give the answer. Okay, and can you explain about incremental loading? I wanted to see the question answer from all of you guys. I wanted, because this is a damn sure question when you go for interview. Incremental loading. What is the question number? It is fifth, I guess. The fifth question. For incremental load requirement, we will be whenever new set of data comes in source, we need to insert into the target. This can be achieved by using pipeline by selecting the right columns from DB. Based on the requirement, we need to use different pipelines. Select, lookup, join. Yesterday type 1 we are trying to explain. Okay, and after loading completed from data source, if any updates or inserts happens in the source, then we need to capture only those. So to load those changes, we can use incremental load approach using SAD implementation, incremental load. Okay, SAD type 1, type 2 are explaining. Whatever we have okay, that is different. Load only the updated the data. First of all, when you get an incremental loading, 100% they don't think about SAD type 1 and type 2 implementations. I'm sure. They don't ask about SAD type 1 when they ask incremental loading. So when they ask incremental loading, you have to say by using the watermark date. I explained, right? One of the situation I told you how we can read the data by using watermark. I mean to say configuration table, if you remember, config table. From the configuration table, last loaded date we have taken. Did you remember? You have to say that answer. If I show that diagram, you may get an idea. Before starting the data flow, I explained about it. This is it. This is the incremental load. You have to explain. We have to use the two lookup activities. One is used to get last loaded date from the configuration table, and one is used to get max date from the source table. And whatever the data is there between your last loaded date and max date from the source. So those records only we need to bring. In order to do it, we need to set up the query in a copy data activity by passing the output of the lookup 1 and output of lookup 2. And then we can feed the data into the target, whatever the data is falling between these two specified dates. Once the data is loaded, once data loading is completed, then make sure to update the last loaded date in the configuration table by using the store procedure. Okay, so that is what we discussed as part of the incremental loading. This is what it is, incremental loading. Okay, so if they ask if I don't have a date in the table, then you have to talk about SAD type 1. Otherwise, we don't need to talk about SAD type 1. Because SAD type 1 is costly operation. If you have a date, then why we need to go for SAD type 1? You can directly go for this one. Incremental loading is slightly different. There is a thin line between them. You can explain about it. So if they ask specifically if no, we don't have a date, then you have to go for that. And even there is in Data Factory, there is one more option, change data capture. That also talks about the same thing, but it is under the preview mode. So we are not talking about this. We are not touching this here. But if you wanted to explore, you can try from your side. So this is also going to be happen with the similar things. Only this change data capture happens like if table is not having the data, we recommend you to go for this particular option. So because SAD type 1 or the change data capture, little costly operations. Okay, so I'm stopping here. Do you have any question? Any other question? Let me unmute yourself. You can unmute and you can talk to me. I wanted to see from everyone how we are doing it. I don't give the answer for this. At least 50% I'm expecting from this, from everyone. If you can do 100%, I really appreciate. Okay, so we'll try. Yeah, just try. Okay, so if you have this kind of questions, if you can do, then what happens is, whatever the question you are getting, you can attempt it. Okay, and I wanted to give one SQL question, just try. This is also very frequently from the interview. There is a chances to get it. Country. I think I have the data already. This is the column name. Okay. Column name is country. Table, you can give country underscore data. This is how I'm having it. Okay, I wanted to see the output is like this. Basically, here just for reference, I'm just displaying this country 1 and country 2. Okay, so input is same. Input is same. Otherwise, give me a moment. Okay, so this is my input. Country is my input. I wanted to say country 1 and country 2. Okay. Country 1 and country 2. This is not a mandatory for me. This is not a mandatory for me, but I need to have a output is like this. Okay, something like Bangladesh versus Sri Lanka, Pakistan versus Sri Lanka, India versus Sri Lanka. Okay, so Bangladesh versus Pakistan, India versus Pakistan, because there are 4 countries are there, right? Bangladesh versus Sri Lanka and Bangladesh versus Pakistan, Bangladesh versus India. The same way like Sri Lanka versus Bangladesh. Okay, so that means it is already there. One time only it is going to play. Okay, we should not play multiple times. Okay, so this is going to play with all these 3 teams. And this is also going to play 3 times. But if it is already there, then we don't need to bring it. You're getting my point, right? So let me copy this. Otherwise, I'll keep it this. I'll keep this in the. Mean to say this whiteboard, and I'll keep it in a PDF. Okay, so just go through that. Okay, I wanted to say that in a SQL, or if you wanted to do with the data factory, try with data factory also. Okay. Okay, then I'm stopping here. Any question?
The data frames it will cover in Databricks.
Yes.
Frames.
Yes. We are going to start from tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the introduction session of the Databricks, and then we are going to start Python.
Python basics.
Yeah.
Okay. Spark SQL also will cover.
SQL itself is a Spark SQL. There is nothing different. SQL itself is a Spark SQL. Only thing is we are writing a SQL in place of
Python. Yeah.
In place of Spark, you are writing a SQL. So that is a Spark SQL. Same to same statement. Like if I wanted to say select star from table name, this is common. We already know it. We are executing that particular statement here. Instead of executing from here, if we can execute the same statement from the Spark, then it is a Spark SQL.
Is it a separate software? Spark?
No. Everything will be there in the Databricks itself.
Databricks. Okay.
Yeah, we are going to see. So that because of that reason, I'm starting itself, I explained about the SQL.
Sir, I have one question, sir.
Yeah.
So if you store the pipeline, so how much is the cost? Or they will charge or they will not?
No, I cannot give the charge for the pipeline because it's not giving any breakup for the pipeline. So we cannot give it.
Okay.
For which pipeline, how much charge it is taken. We don't get those kind of details. Okay, maybe administrators may have an idea how to get those details. But as per my invoice, I don't see anywhere those kind of details. If I go to the subscription, Oh my God, 1,000 rupees just in 5 days. Because I'm using data flow explanation only.
Data flow.
So that is a problem. Okay.
Data
so
flow, when we open so much, it's costly.
data flow is costly only. Okay, so invoice. Last time I got 4,000.
It is like zero report. Initially, they have given free, and then they charge.
They're not giving all those details. Okay, so there may be some options to look into that. Download invoice is there, but same it is going to get.
Sir, if you can't pay on time, so they will add some interest on it.
They will not add, I didn't see, they will stop using the services.
But it will deduct from credit card. Credit card
Basically,
people will.
Yeah, basically what happens is once you make this payment, I mean to say once it is attached with the credit card, automatically it will go for deduction.
Yes.
Okay, so for me it was already deducted because you agreed to deduct it.
Auto debit.
Yeah, if it is a debit card, if you don't have an amount, then not sure how it happens. So here in the cost analysis, it is giving analysis only here, like where the charges has more. You can say Data Factory. So by service, if I take, this is the one. Azure Data Factory itself is having almost 800. Because I used data flow only. From the just 12 to 18th, just a week.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is the dangerous service it is. Estimated bill is 5,000.
Right.
Because I'm using for multiple batches, right? So for me,
Okay.
it's going to get. Okay, and one more thing is I kept few things. Basically, if you don't run the pipeline, it will not take a charge much more. It is going to be negligible. But when you run it, then your integration runtime for every batch, almost 2 hours it will be there. So at least 1.5 hours. So because of that reason, the charge will be more if it is a data flow. Okay. Okay, then be careful when you are practicing the data flow. Yeah, tell me.
Sir, what are the concepts that we covered in ADF? So
What are the
most of them are covered. So is there any pending or important we need to know?
important things are there, pending items? Okay, so that you will get.
Triggering.
Triggering is there. How you can make a dynamic connection, dynamic data set we have seen. Okay, and dynamic link service we have not come across it. Okay, that we are going to see, and Azure Key Vault, and how we can pass the value from the data factory to Databricks. Okay, so those things we are going to see as part of the project. Because if I explain here again, I have to go there. But if I have a situation, then you can remember it easily.
Okay, sir, fine. Got it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Scheduling also, how we can make a scheduling, what are the different types of schedules.
Okay, sir, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that we can explain same thing in the project also, how you have implemented.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, anyone?
Nothing, sir. Viren, can I have your contact? Sir, with your permission, can we take, like, to connect with international point of things? Viren.
You people can try.
Do you have any LinkedIn connection so that I can reach out to you with the same name?
LinkedIn is there.
Okay, I'll try.
Okay then. Okay, guys. Okay, so just go through this use case, please, so that you can have a multiple interview questions in this place. Okay, so thank you for joining. We'll see you
Thank you.
tomorrow
Thank
to
you.
start Azure Databricks introduction.